Do you ever wish there was a quicker, more efficient way to handle multiplication tasks? Say goodbye to manual calculations as we go about building our very own multiplication grid. So we'll enter a big X up here. We'll create a 5 by 5 grid, starting with number 1 in this cell. Get the autofill cursor and drag down 5 rows. And autofill will try to create a pattern for us. We can click the autofill options and choose to have a number series. Do exactly the same with the numbers across the top of the grid. If we want to apply formatting to the entire sheet, we can select the entire sheet using this button here. And then if we change the height of any row, all the rows will change too. We want everything to be centered, and the vertical alignment from top to bottom will have that centered too. Increase the font size and make it bold. This cell here can have a green background color. Select all of the cells, change the background color. Do the same for the row headings. And then finally, we'll add some border lines to the entire grid. And the numbers that will appear inside of the grid, we'll just change the font color to red. In this step, we'll create and format the button. On the Insert tab, insert a rectangle shape. Type a name for our button. Change the shape color to green and the font color to black. Back on the Home tab, center the text horizontally and vertically. If we clicked on this cell here, and then we clicked on our button, we want the number 6 to appear inside the cell. We'll need to write a small VBA macro, right-click the button, assign a macro, give the macro a name, and we need to create a new macro. This opens up the Visual Basic editor. Paste in the code that we created in our previous video. And if you want to learn more about VBA and Excel macros, check out the other videos on my channel. And we'll be using 3 dynamic variables, which means it doesn't matter which cell we click on inside the grid, this macro will always produce the correct results. The first variable is to capture the current cell that is selected inside of the spreadsheet. The other 2 variables will capture the row and column labels, which we need to know in order to carry out the multiplication. On the next few lines, we're assigning actual values to the variables. A variable named selected cell is equal to the active cell. Now, whichever cell we've clicked in, we need to know the 2 numbers to multiply by. We have a variable named column label. In other words, which of these numbers do we need for our multiplication? In VBA, the cells function takes 2 arguments, the row number and the column number. The row number is the same row as the selected cell. The column number is column 1. And then whichever cell that is, we want the value. And that value is now assigned to our variable. The variable for the row label is equal to row 1 inside of the same column as the selected cell. This tiny piece of code is where all the magic happens. We have a simple if statement to check that the selected cell is empty. If it is, inside of the same cell, we create a little formula. In our example, the formula starts with equals, the row label, the multiplication symbol, and the column label. If the selected cell is not blank, we have a little pop-up box with a message. End the if statement and end the subroutine. This VBA macro is now assigned to our button. All we have to do is close the VBA editor and give our button a little test. Now it's time for some more interactivity. What we really need is another button. A button that, when clicked, will reveal all the answers for the entire grid. Copy and paste this button. Change the background color. Assign a macro to the button. And this is going to be a new macro. Back inside the VBA editor, the new subroutine is down here. Paste in the code, which follows a similar logic to the previous routine. Declare the variables at the top, and then this routine loops through all the cells within the grid, excluding row 1 and column 1. Checks if a cell is blank, and if so, creates a formula based on the row and column labels. It effectively reveals all answers in empty cells within the grid when the button is clicked. Close the editor and give it a test. In this step, we'll be adding a valuable feature to our Excel multiplication grid. We need a clear answers button. This button will provide users with a quick and convenient way to reset the grid. Copy and paste this button. Change the background color. Assign a macro to the button. And this new macro appears down here at the bottom. Paste in the code. We only need one variable for this routine. Inside this subroutine, we use for each loop to iterate through all cells within the grid. For each cell in the loop, we use the clear contents method, effectively erasing all answers that were previously revealed. Now, when a user clicks the Clear Answers button, it will remove all answers from the grid, allowing for a fresh start. Now we have 3 macros linked to 3 buttons. Let's give it a test.